Now I want to show you few more techniques around migrations. Migrations can be a sensitive topic and you should not play around if you are not aware of all the details. That being said, I'll show you two of the advanced concepts here. It won't be that advanced, but I think if you don't know the basic fundamentals for this, it's better not to touch migrations like this. What I want to show you is, let's say that you want to revert your database back to the add genre table to DB. In this migration, what we did was we just added the genre table. We want to revert to that state and we want to see our database, and let's say we want to test some things from that migration. Since everything is in source control, you can always revert the changes back to there. In order to put the database back to this genre, we will go to our package manager console and we will hit the command update database. Now with update database, we want the exact name of this migration. So best will be go here, rename, copy this name, go to the package manager and paste it right here. If you hit enter, your database will be reverted back to that migration. You can see it is done here. Let's go to database and examine that. We are in the database now. Let me refresh this here. You can see the genre table is back here. If you examine top 1000, there won't be display order, and also we have the name and not genre name. That is what exactly we had in this initial migration. Once you have that database in that state, you want to make some changes or test some things from that source code, so you can get that code, test it, fix these changes or do whatever you want, and then you want to revert back to the original state. So in order to revert back, we will execute the command update database, and that will update all of the remaining migrations and push them to the database. Now if we go back here and refresh, the genre table will not be available anymore because we removed that. EF core tracks everything inside the EF migrations history, as you can see right here. So this is how you can go back to any of the old migration, view the state of the database, make some changes in code if you want, and then bring the database back to its original or the state in which we have all the other migrations. Now this is one way of modifying or going back to the old migration. Let's say the another thing that we want to try now is in the last migration where we removed the genre table, I want to roll that back. I do not want this transaction. What I recommend first thing is do not try to roll back the immediate transactions. I would always recommend add a new migration and make the changes again of creating the table. But if for some reason you want to stick with the approach in which you do not want to write a new migration and you want to remove this migration, let me show you how that can be done. First thing, you have to revert the state of the database back to the end of this migration. If you do update database with this name, that means it will put the database back to the state after this migration was executed. So we'll do that with tools, NuGet package manager, console. We have update database, and let me paste the name here and hit enter. Great. Now if we go back to SQL Server, our genre table should be back again, this time with display order. Oops, not display order, but with genre name. Okay, that's good. What happened right now is that this migration is not applied to the database now. If you go to application DB context, we have commented the genres out. So we will remove this comment and it will bring back to the picture the genres object. The database already has that object because that is the exact change we did in this migration. If we save this, we go back to package manager console and let's add a new migration. We'll call this temp1. Let's examine this. And here you see what it's actually doing is it is creating the table. Our table already exists, but EF core from the code, it sees that this table was actually modified because it was commented out and then we brought it back in. So it adds a new migration to create the table. But since we already rolled back to the transaction before that, we know that we can ignore this migration. So you can remove both of these migrations, and that way your database is actually consistent now. Again, I would point out that these concepts you should only do if you know what you're dealing with. I would highly avoid the scenarios and I will just add a new migration even if I have to do the same things that were done before. So I just wanted to show that this route is also possible, but you should highly avoid that route. Once you do this, if you go back and now if you try to add a new migration, this will be empty. So let's add a new migration called temp, and it will find that both of them are consistent, and here you see the migration is empty. So we'll remove the temp migration. So we saw some of the advanced scenarios of how we can deal with the migrations, and that's it for this video.